Welcome back to the show, everyone. Of course, Greg Essenmacher here, your host. You know who I am. You know why we're here. We're here to talk with all of the industry experts on things from their perspective. Today, I'm super excited. I have on Dr. Manoj Rajan, who brings a wealth of expertise to the dental technology landscape. It's one of the two. I'm not sure. Let's just go with it. So he has a background in dentistry. His journey as an entrepreneurial realm began with a passion for enhancing oral health care through innovative solutions. He's the co-founder of Toothlens. And rather than me talking all about Toothlens from what I've learned, I want Dr. Manoj Rajan to talk about what he knows. And what I love, it's all about integrating AI and mobile technology. One, everybody knows about mobile, right? We all have a phone, I think. And AI, everybody's learning about it and how it's enhancing dental. So without further ado, Dr. Manoj, welcome. And it's not Dr. Manjo, even though that's what your co-founder calls you. I've got him laughing already. He told me before in the pre-show that his co-founder calls him Manjo, and we thought we'd have a good laugh about that. So Dr. Manoj, thank you so much for coming on. We've had some conversations. I know that you're starting to get your foothold in the industry. So before we get into Toothlens, we're definitely talking about that. And I know that's what you want to promote. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your clinical journey, your journey of getting into dental? I love hearing about people's story.
Yeah, great, Greg, being here on your wonderful podcast. So my story is that why I got into dentistry is because we had kind of a family friend, and that dentist, like, is an old timer dentist, used to do amazing work, but uh, those days, like, we used to see him work, and he used to get all this fashionable patients, uh, high-end society patients, and he used to do a lot of cosmetic work, uh, but although, like, he was doing all that work, he had a great lifestyle. He had a lot of work-life balance. He was doing the fun stuff, making a lot of money, but he was also having a lot of fun himself. So I guess that's what inspired me to take up this profession, because I felt that uh, being right there at the face, it adds value so much to the face. Uh, Although I didn't realize how much of it adds value at that time when I started off. But the more and more you start looking at it, the more and more it sinks in, that really the teeth plays such an important part of the overall personality. And then I got excited about smile design and cosmetic dentistry. So that's what really motivated me to uh, get into dentistry.
Well, I love hearing about that because not only were you inspired by somebody that you saw as successful, but also with that smile, which is, his calling card that you got inspired by, but it's everything behind it. He was living a life where he was just oozing that sense of joy. And that's what I know for me that I found in the field of dentistry, the 17 years I've been in it. I just love the fact that people in dentistry, for the most part, love what they do. Whether it is helping to solve the oral systemic issues that individuals have, or creating brand new smiles, or helping to straighten teeth or whiten the smiles, because when somebody has that joy in their smile, it is truly amazing. And so you talk about, leveraging artificial intelligence and mobile technology and helping to revolutionize dental care. So talk to my listening audience and share with me a little bit about the inspiration behind Toothlens. What exactly is it? What are you doing? And how is it changing the face of dentistry?
Yeah, so during my dental practice, uh, right, you keep listening to patients, and what you see with patients is that they keep telling you that if we had something on our mobile phones that we could do ourselves. So every patient's journey is actually, if I have a problem, I need to visit a dental office. I need to see a dentist. uh, there's nothing that they can do at home. There's nothing that they can use their mobile phones uh, to do something about it. uh, Even just engage with the dentist, it's not that easily available. So I've seen over the years, like, people ask me, there's so much innovation happening on mobile phones. There's telehealth, there's a lot of stuff happening really there. But why there's nothing happening um, in dental care? Why are we not given the information or ability to connect, or really having a sense of really what's going on in our mouth, uh, virtually being able to do stuff without actually having a dentist as a touch point for every problem that we have. So this, and I've heard this over the last 10 years. It's been growing, and then came COVID, and this problem just got amplified. More people started to say, hey, uh, we need something to be done about this. We need more virtual solutions. We really need to know, if I have like a gum swelling, or uh, do I have to rush to a dental practice to really check it out, to communicate this to the dentist, to really understand whether this is covered by my dental plan. Uh, these kind of questions are quite complex questions, which we're trying to solve using mobile and the artificial intelligence solutions.
Being able to provide information, right, which can be super complex, which has to do with, coverage and what people need to access in dental care and what is covered in dental care. I mean, we hear about it all the time in revenue cycle management and with group practices, and how much time and effort and expense, whether it's an individual clinic, and I call them all clinics, right, or emerging groups, or even the largest DSOs, spend on trying to figure out the automation side or the manual side, and trying to connect between providers and, the providers and the dental insurance company, and what is covered, what isn't covered. Well, I have this insurance and it's a PPO. Well, in each state, there's probably 17 different PPO plans for that specific, particular dental insurance plan. I mean, it gets insane. And so, am I hearing you right that this is some type of connector of information for the patients on their mobile phone? Is that correct?
Exactly. So there's so much of complexity, but all the data is really available. Uh, it's available with the insurance company. So we started working with like dental practices. We start working with insurance companies, but it's all about more power to the patient, to the consumer, right? If they have the power which they don't have today, if they have the right kind of information, they're going to take the right decision, and it's like a win-win situation for the payer, the member, and the provider. That's what we're trying to achieve, really, with our solution. The product is like, starts off being like a Google Lens for the teeth, uh, similar to what Google Lens does. So you click a pic using your mobile phone, and then we have AI um, scanning the images, the photo images, and coming up with uh, hygiene recommendations and hygiene based checks. Um, and then that's how it starts. But then it's used for risk management by insurance companies. They use it for member engagement, and they also use it for um, having that connect with the right provider network, whether it's an in-network provider network, or that kind of availability, or really of that information, that um, are the preventables covered, how much of it is covered, what's that, all the data is just in their mobile phones. So that's the magic of the mobile application, and this sits within existing applications. So really, the insurance providers and or the dental plan companies, they the members don't really have to download additional applications. Everybody hates to have additional applications because this sits within their application, so it's like super easy to use.
And I love that it starts with a picture of somebody's oral cavity, right? So of their teeth. And then it sounds like it's going to the dental plans. And you hit on something that, I love, right? Which is the preventative side. Because in the hopes that if we focus more on preventative care, and the numbers change, and I hear different numbers, whether it's 50% or 60% of individuals actually go and see a dentist on an annualized basis. If that number were to continue to increase, literally there would be a very little need for my space, which is the fixed full arch space. And my whole business is predicated on that and has been building and growing, and that's what I do. But I would be okay with that because on the preventative side, there is so much research being done and so much more prevalence of the mouth body connection, right? And not only that, but I've been reading a lot in the last 6 to 12 months on, the oral brain connection, right? Between there's so much research being done, and I think so much more needs to be done that if you think about everything does start with the mouth and how, periodontal disease can affect the heart and I could go on literally for hours, with other types of systemic health that is affected if there is issues with the oral cavity. And you're talking about really focusing on and what you start with, which is the preventative care. Do I have that right?
Exactly. It's where you start off on, which is really preventative. It's not to say that uh, by having tools people are going to get super healthy. I mean, there are habits and there's habit changing. It's like exercising. Everybody knows that it gets you healthier, but then by a function of habit, people, they neglect exercise, proper food, right type of food. So there's a lot of information available, but we do our best what we can, in terms of really, in the preventative side of things. And the best part is most preventative procedures are covered by dental plans. That's that so it's already there, but people don't know that how much impact can they have. People don't know that dental cavities and gum disease are the most, like WHO, I think they classify them as preventative conditions. I think it's the second most common preventable condition in the world. So everybody agrees that we can solve for this from a preventative approach, but people don't look at it this way, that I've got my dental plan, I can get this done fixed early on to solve uh, my problem today, versus just neglecting that. And that's like 50% of the population, like what you said, who have dental plans, who don't visit a dentist in spite of having that plan. um, and who can really avoid procedures like possibly root canal or dental infections, just by catching stuff early. That's how easy it is, but we're trying to do a bit by getting onto the mobile phones and making it a little bit more easier.
Yeah, it's that whole ounce of prevention, right? Can I think was it Benjamin Franklin? I'm trying to think of who used that phrase, right? The ounce of prevention issue. I love that. And I'm getting ready. I'm starting up. So the Give Kids a Smile program through the American Dental Association is all about prevention. And they also do, there's a couple of different levels. There's the education, there's the preventative, and then there's the actual clinical and restorative types of programs that they do. And I'm actually starting one here in the west side of Phoenix, and I'm really grateful for the different partners. The Women's Health Initiative, that's a sponsor partner, and we're doing it at the Starlight Elementary School on the west side of Phoenix. Over 700 kids at this elementary school that will get some education on simple things like brushing their teeth. And thank you to Henry Schein, who donates products for this every year. So they'll get a toothbrush and some toothpaste, just some real basic preventative. And that's what you're talking about, which I think is so critically important, because if we can just simply start with preventative and start where they're at, we can hopefully avoid some of the procedures that you're talking about, some of that future, which can be so damaging. And the fact that you're also working with some of the dental plans with what you do. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about, I've heard some of the, when you're talking about the application, I love hearing about that. So what are you seeing, or, maybe take a look around the corner. It sounds like you're an innovator in dentistry and some of the applications of AI. Where do you see some of the future applications for, maybe for AI, for what you're developing, for what you would like to see, or where you see this technology going in the future for dentistry?
So I think AI in dentistry, there are different there are different buckets for AI in dentistry. I guess there's AI on the consumer part of things, on the patients, and that can be very different in terms of um, preventive checks, risk assessment, self check, stuff like am I brushing right, stuff like that. People don't know whether they're brushing right, and so that kind of assessments, and then you are you able to like gamify that, give them points and give them scores and give them thumbs up and maybe stuff like that to make them feel good about doing that. So these are all virtual care services really that happen from a member perspective. Are they able to fix appointments with providers seamlessly without having to call the provider and go back and forth with appointment fixing? Are they able to really have that knowledge of what are they covered, what's the balance, that they've consumed and what's available, really that level. So these are various aspects of member experience and engagement that are super important. So these are actually before they come into the practice. And this is a very interesting area, but this is an area that has very less focus. um, there's not too much work really going on in member experience and what you call like user experience. But we believe that all of us work for happy patients, right? I mean, uh, uh, your happy patients make happy dentists. So if you're working for the patients, we need to give them all the tools that are possible. And I think in telehealth, they really do that. I think in dentistry, we've not adopted that as much as we should be doing. So, so we take a lot of cues from telehealth, and they're doing that really effectively, and get that in virtual care. Really, not having the dentist really has a center point, but really getting that member engagement. That's one important part. Of course, the other part, which is where there's a lot of work going on, is in office. So that's making the life of the dentist better. So that you have like X-ray diagnosis, you have scan diagnosis. So that's the diagnostic part of AI. There's really a lot of work goes on, and then there's post-care remote monitoring, which is very prevalent with aligner monitoring kind of systems. I think there's a lot of work too. Very interesting work with images and photographic images and using AI for aligner monitoring. I would extend that actually to even your patients who've had full mouth reconstruction work, and that kind of monitoring would also be very interesting because they got constructions work, and you really want to see that they're maintaining it over a long period of time, and that could be very interesting um, in the virtual services segment. So that's my take on AI, and of course there are companies building interesting stuff on telephone based AI solutions and then guiding. But I believe that the telephone can be substituted by, how many phone calls can really a front office handle. There's a lot of churn happening with people attending, just the churn of staff churn. So I think the more virtual services we bring in terms of just appointment scheduling and making that using AI very very robust and very dynamic and patient friendly, I think some of these things will start to function very well. So yeah, so that's my take about AI. And then there's lots of other stuff too happening in saliva uh, diagnostic using AI, and yeah, there's a whole lot of research going on. But really, I mean, I think what people need to understand that which when I speak to people, there's even dentists don't seem to have an understanding that the diagnostic part is different from what happens uh, before they visit a practice and after they visit a practice. You want to capture that overall life experience, uh, so that it's good for like dentists too. They would keep remembering their the patients would keep remembering them. If they have that kind of experience set up, and not just when they have a problem.
Well, and you touch on so many good points there in what you've been sharing. And, from the validation for a patient of, scanning their own mouth and, from a thumbs up animation of you're doing the right thing, you're brushing the right way, you're doing great, love what you're doing, right? For that validation to continue to support them and help them to continue on with good and healthy habits, right? From that very beginning phase, and then you talk about all the touch points of the patient experience from the initial inquiry, whether it's virtual, whether it's AI driven, or whether it's contact in the office, and transitioning some of that into the efficiencies piece, which is really what we're talking about as well, because AI can enhance patient experience and increase efficiency, which if we can increase efficiency, we can reduce some of the cost burden. And then the time that's spent with patients can be more optimized, right? So that when they do get in clinic, then some of the things that you're speaking of as well with AI enhanced stuff that we do, even up all the way to full arch, which is, are they doing maintenance? And they can do it at home or in clinic. Is the maintenance routine, once they do have a procedure like that, are they using the water pick correctly? Are they maintaining it correctly? Are the occlusal points accurate? So is it going to be a long-term prognosis to where those implants are going to be for life and that prosthesis can live 15, 20, 30 years in their mouth? It's all of these subtleties sum total together. And you talk about taking the best practices from telehealth and transferring those best practices over to dental, which I think it's been very slow to migrate over. And, certainly with the pandemic, I think that we had some learnings that accelerated, but also there's been some exhaustion of that education that others has almost like a rubber band and snapped back from the, oh, no, 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 no. I've had enough of that virtual stuff, right? I want the human connection. So I think you point out so many valid reasons and valid opportunities in the dental space for AI to be, lifted up and lifted in. Yeah, please.
So I think Greg, the reason for that is because the way how dentists look at these things is like they are at the center, and all the rest, the patients, the payers, all of them are at the periphery. Uh, the right way to look at it is keep the patient at the center, uh, and then we're all working for the patient. If you look at it that way, then you would have a completely, so you would not completely optimize everything for in clinic experiences. Today there's amazing stuff happening on in clinic experiences, uh, but really just having only in clinic experiences is doesn't solve that puzzle.
Yeah, what you're talking about is patient centric care. And that's what's most important. And I think when you look at the medical community or the dental community, those that really focus on patient centric care are those that are doing it differently. And those that are really changing the industry and really starting to, be patient forward and person forward and people forward. And I think that's amazing. I love it. I love it all. Okay, Dr. Manoj, this is the point of the program that all of my guests play a little something called What the Sleuth is Going On? It's 3 rapid fire questions. The first thing that comes to mind, are you ready to play?
I'm a little stressed, but let's go ahead. Yeah.
Question number 1. I love that you set up a little stress. That's a great reaction. Okay, question number 1. What's the worst bad breath you've ever encountered?
Oh my God, this is like I was there was a patient actually many years ago who came in for like full mouth implants, and I kind of guessed that she said she had like shaky teeth, but it was so bad. Like I had to wear like uh, three layers of masks. It was that bad.
The triple
Triple mask.
mask.
Yeah, it was that bad. But then you can't tell the patient, right? That's another problem, you know. So you can't show it on your face. So that's the worst
No,
kind of.
good thing you had three
Yeah.
masks. You had three masks on.
No, I
And for
didn't.
all of you who are watching on
I
YouTube,
turned
you
my
can
face.
see his reaction. He's still smiling through it. It's the same in front of patients. He's still smiling. But for those who are listening, all my listening audience, he's still got that smile on his face that he's had through most of the program, but it's not the same smile. It's that I'm smiling because a patient is looking and I don't want them to see the look on my face. I love it. I love it. Doctors always have the best answers to that. Mostly. Wait, there's been one who told a story about like back in high school, and that we won't remind the listening audience of that. You know who you are. Okay, question number 2. If you could change one thing about your smile, what would it be?
So yeah, I've got like worn out teeth, my lower jaw, uh, but yeah, that's something that I would love to change, make that more straightened up. Uh, but the top teeth look fine, so I'm okay. Yeah,
Okay, well, and I can see your top teeth. They look good. Your smile is great.
exactly.
I love
So
it. I love it. Okay, last one. Question number 3. If you could go back and be the inventor of any dental product, and no, you can't choose your own, you can't choose Toothlens, which product would you choose and why?
if I could develop a product, it would be a product uh, which would where you just apply it on the teeth, uh, like a full sealant, and that's it. It's like a protective, it's like a complete protective varnish, and nothing would affect that. It will go like something like fluoride, but far more stronger, which kind of be resistant to cavities, uh, plaque, and that kind of stuff.
I like it. I'm thinking of like the Middle Ages and like putting on armor for your teeth. So Dr. Manoj wants to create like armor for your teeth, but in a varnish. Okay, I like it. We'll go with that. All right, awesome. Well, I want to
Yeah,
respect.
but there's another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
But there's
Yeah,
another
why
product
not?
which
Double
I'm very,
dip.
yes,
You triple
like,
mask.
give me
You
a
might as
second
well
one
double
too.
dip.
Yeah. So I'm very passionate about uh, these automated brushing tools that are available. I mean, they're still not in market, but many of them, we have these like mouth guards with micro brushes on them, because people still don't brush their teeth properly. I mean, they were. I mean, in spite of all these smart brushes and all that. So even something like brushing, and if that's possible to do it in a more efficient way, I think it can. I mean, the root cause of all dental problems is not being able to brush properly. Okay, so if we can handle that, I mean, that would be great. Yeah.
An auto brusher. Well, whether it's for people who don't brush properly or just for lazy people in general, you could just be sitting on the couch and pop in your auto brusher. Yeah. Anywhere you go. We just have people like walking down the street with their auto brushers in. I love it. You can have like designer and you can put like gemstones on it. I'm loving it. I'm loving all of it. Right? You could have like the name brands, which will be like ridiculously expensive, or the knockoffs that you get at the dollar store that like jack up your gums. And oh yeah, I'm vibing with you. I love it. I'm going with it. All right. Well, I want to respect our listening audience and respect your time, Dr. Manoj. So, in the last few minutes, is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share? Any words of wisdom for my audience?
No, I think the important part, which which is to do with education, and this is education uh, of all the people concerned, is the dentists, uh, about AI and what it can do. There's a lot of um, stuff that people don't understand. I think there's a need for a lot of education. Um, I think the patients probably understand it the best. They're using stuff like Chat GPT. They're using mobile phones. I think really dentists need to kind of understand the virtual space a lot more better. I think payers need to understand the virtual space a lot. They're kind of fixated on whenever I talk about, you didn't ask me about teledentistry, so I'm going to bring that in here. So it's like, when we talk to people about virtual dental services, the only thing that they think about is teledentistry, which is really like a very small part of having video calls with a dentist for emergency procedures. But this whole lot of other stuff. So dentists need to be educated. I think even the organizations and the policymakers need to uh, see the whole gamut of stuff that it can happen to help patients, um, which they used to do. And this is the Amazon generation, right? People are used to doing stuff on their mobile phones, but what do they get in dental care is there's virtually nothing. uh, and we're kind of telling them that, hey, you can have a video call with a dentist, which is a greatest innovation, which is like amazing. And they're looking like, hey, we're doing that with telehealth all the time. you know we do it at home. We talk to family members. What's the big deal in this, right? This is the problem. So there's stuff that's available, and we need to kind of innovate. I think patients are more technology savvy than really dentists and payers, and I think there's a lot more in education that needs to be done, in in virtual care services actually.
Well, I love it. Thank you for those parting words. My guest has been Dr. Manoj Rajan, co-founder of Toothlens. And Dr. Manoj, how can people learn more about Toothlens or get in contact with you if they'd like to learn more?
Yeah, they can visit the website toothlens.com. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can check up Dr. Manoj Rajan at the Toothlens page, and just hit me up. I'm available to have a good conversation. Um, Anything related to AI, tech, dental, mobile space, happy to have a chat.
Excellent. We'll make sure all that gets in the show notes. Dr. Manoj, it has truly been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Tooth Sleuth podcast. Thank you so much.